Did I cry during the High School Musical, the series finale? You know I did! Hey guys, it's Kristen, and today we are talking about episode 10, yep, that's right, the season 1 finale of High School Musical, the series. They're in the middle of the performance, we're about to get into Act 2, and things are getting pretty wild. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this episode of High School Musical, the series. So fresh off of last week's episode, there is a lot going on here. We see Ricky get really freaked out when he sees his mom in the audience with her new boyfriend. He starts to kind of mess up some of his lines and some of the performances, and when he finds out that there's actually a scout in the audience watching Nini's performance to potentially help her get into a performing arts school, he really gets in his head about it all and is like, okay, let's have EJ go on for the rest of the show. He's the one that can really continue on this performance and be the leading man that Nini needs. So we kick off with Act 2 just starting in this episode. EJ's going on for Troy, Nini is confused. It's actually really funny looking at the show and just seeing how many people have switched roles and how many different people have gone on for different roles in the course of one production. I also just really love that there's so many parallels in this show, not only to the original High School Musical, but also to other moments that have happened throughout the season. So one that I really enjoyed was we actually get to see Ashlyn sing the Miss Darvis song that she wrote, and a couple of episodes there was a moment where she was having a conversation with Big Red and she was like, oh, don't throw anything at me, and he's like, the only thing I would throw at you is a big spotlight because I like the way you sing. And we get to see a really cute moment that definitely referenced that as Big Red points this big spotlight at Ashlyn singing, and he's just got this big smile on his face, and you can just tell that they have such a great connection. Later on we even end up learning that this huge bouquet of flowers that came to the show actually did have a note on it, and it was for Ashlyn from Big Red. That right there was that big moment where you're just like, oh my god, they are really gonna get together! And there's a really cool end credit scene at the end of this episode where we get to see Big Red tap dancing in the gym, and Ashlyn comes up to him and is like, first of all, incredible, but also, let's kiss, you know, like now they're definitely gonna be together in the next season, and I think that's gonna be fun because they really teased a really cute relationship between them throughout the entire first season. The other Big Red moment I really enjoyed was getting to see his parents be so proud of him for actually finding a hobby that he's interested in and that he really enjoys. Clearly, even though he was sort of thrown into, you know, being part of the stage crew for this musical, it's something that he actually is pretty good at. And you know, maybe we'll see him next season even be part of the robotics club and sort of become that new lighting tech person for the musicals. This episode we also get a couple of small Seb and Carlos moments that were really cute, although I gotta say I definitely want to see more, and I'm pretty sure that we will because the actor who plays Seb was picked up to become a main role in season 2, so I think we're gonna focus on him and Carlos, I hope a lot more. It's really fun actually to see Seb's dynamic with everyone, especially compared to the role of Sharpay who he's playing, because, you know, Sharpay was very glamorous and rich, and, you know, even though Seb is also very glamorous, he comes from a farming family, so it just, you know, it's kind of like this interesting opposite of what Sharpay was like. You know, I love the signs that we see that his family has, being like, go Sharpay! There's like a cow, and like, it's just very funny. We do get to see kind of like the pressure that he feels to go on stage and do a good job. I do wish that they had given us a little bit more of his performance. We kind of just get to hear his vocals and we don't get to see him actually doing Bop to the Top, so that was something that disappointed me a little bit. I wish that we got to see that more. When it comes to Gina, our theory was correct. It was EJ who bought her the ticket to come back for the show, and we get some little hints here that Ashlyn is going to have Gina stay with her potentially for the rest of the school year, so I'm glad to see that our theory was right and we weren't going to be losing Gina just yet. It honestly wouldn't have made sense, and I was like, there's going to be some cliche moment where someone's like, wait a minute, what if you stay with me? And that's exactly what they're doing, and it's kind of nice to see that EJ and Ashlyn are the ones that are able to do that, especially because EJ, I think, had a very kind of roller coaster season where there was moments where we really liked him, especially in the beginning, and then he did a lot of things that kind of made us not really like him so much, and I think in this episode he really redeemed himself. Not only did he bring Gina back for the show, but he also let Nini have what she really wanted. You know, he came on and was performing the role of Troy, and he could tell that even though Ricky thought that he was the Troy that she needed, EJ realizes that Ricky is the Troy that she really wants. And they end up reusing that kindergarten line again to kind of represent that, you know, it turns out Ricky is the one that Nini really wants. And I thought that that was a really smart move, and I really just enjoyed how they let EJ have that kind of redeeming moment. And so I'm hoping that maybe when we get into season 2, now that EJ's redeemed himself, we can really see him become part of the crew, everyone can be friends, and you know, maybe he'll form a really good friendship with Gina now that he and Ashlyn essentially helped her get back to East High and stay there. We also get a really nice moment in this episode between Gina and Nini, which I really enjoyed because I think it kind of showed us that these two girls were able to come together and become friends, and we don't need to pit these two people against each other anymore. And I think that's a really good message, you know, not pitting women against each other, and just allowing both of them to shine in their own talents and their own ways. And this really kind of solidified for me this great ending where everyone really is a family. And you know, when we get into We're All in This Together, that was a moment that for me, I really started getting a little bit emotional. I'm like, oh no, am I gonna cry right now? Feeling like, wow, this is so nostalgic. They really are all in this together. They really are a family. And I loved it. And of course we have to get into the big Ricky and Nini moments. There were some really great ones in this episode when EJ kind of bows out and Nini steps up to Ricky and goes to him and sings with him. That was a really nice moment. I mean, it's something that you couldn't really do in an actual musical. The fact that they broke character so many times on the stage, you know, was kind of goofy, but the way that she went to him and they sang the song together, it was really great. And then after the show, you know, Ricky kind of comes to Nini and he's like, where do we go next? What happens after this show? And he finally tells her how he really feels about her. He actually says the words, I love you, and that was really emotional because, first of all, you know, we've seen Ricky go on such a journey this season. He's definitely one of those characters that has become my favorite because I really think that he's the one that kind of is the heart and soul of this show. He kind of had the deepest storyline trying to figure out, you know, how to get Nini back, how to deal with his family issues, and that kind of struggle that he has of being able to express how he feels and tell people that he loves them, because that's not something that his family does anymore. That's not something that his parents do. Even in the first episode, we can tell that he does love Nini. But when he sings, I think I kinda know for her during his audition, even then he has a hard time singing, I'm saying I don't not love you. And I think this season he goes on such a journey, and I think that is kind of part of the fun of the transformative world of musical theater, is that it does help you build confidence. It does help you find yourself and figure out who you are. And I think that Ricky really does that and is able to finally tell Nini how he feels about her. What's also really cool there is that I had heard that this scene where he says I love you was actually improvised, and I think they both did a really great job. It's very emotional. We get a big kiss. We also get a really cute High School Musical reference. Ricky and Nini each give each other a little show gift that references the original High School Musical. Nini gives him a little dog tag necklace that says Freaky Callback Boy. He gives her like a little guitar pick that says Freaky Math Girl, which is something that Troy and Gabriella said to each other in the original High School Musical. So this was a really great finale. It really wrapped everything up. Everyone's a little family. All the little relationships that we were hoping would pan out did. While they do wrap things up very nicely, they do open up a bunch of little cliffhangers that we can probably expect them to address in season 2. So let's talk about a couple of those. The biggest one, of course, is what is Nini gonna do now that it turns out she actually did get accepted to that Youth Actors Conservatory? The woman came up to her after the show, even though everyone thought she had left, because she wanted to call the school and make this big offer to Nini to come and join them. So I think this is gonna be really interesting, and it kind of opens up a little bit of a Troy storyline for Nini. You know, Troy had to deal with, do I want to go with basketball and my friends, or do I want to go with singing and my new love, Gabriella? And in this situation, Nini's gonna have to choose, do I want to stay at East High with Ricky and all my friends, or do I want to go for my bigger dream and go to this acting conservatory? And I think it's gonna be a really interesting choice. Another question is what's gonna happen now that Gina's staying. There were like some little hints that maybe she and Ricky had some kind of connection. That makes me wonder, will something happen next season with them? Well, I honestly did enjoy their connection. I kind of hope nothing happens between them and they just stay friends, because to me, the big relationship in High School Musical was always Troy and Gabriella's, and no matter what ups and downs they had, they always only had eyes for each other. And you know, in this show, while we did get to see, you know, some different like love triangles and love quadrangles happen, I really hope that we get to keep Nini and Ricky as kind of that solid, strong relationship like Troy and Gabriella had. Like I mentioned, we also have a bunch of new couples. We got Nini and Ricky back, we got Ashlyn and Big Red, we have Carlos and Seb, and so I'm hoping that we get to see some of those relationships, maybe, you know, Ashlyn and Big Red going on their first big date or something. I think they have a really great connection. So I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do with some of the more side characters like Ashlyn and Big Red and Courtney, because I think towards the middle/end of this season, they started started to have a lot more to do, and I would love to see them do even more. Miss Jen does tease that there's going to be a new big spring musical that I'm really excited to find out what is that going to be. And she did have a nice little moment with Courtney last episode where she was like, yo girl, make sure you come speak to me after Christmas break because we're going to have to do something with that incredible voice of yours. So I'm really hoping that we get to see some of these other characters that didn't have as big of a storyline maybe as Nini and Ricky kind of come up a little bit more and have some other exciting things to do. And maybe even be the stars or leading roles in this new musical. Another thing that I'm curious about for next season is what's going on with Ricky's family, and then of course what is going to happen with the teachers in next season, because we find out from the principal that it was actually them that accidentally caused the fire at the school. You know, are they going to get fired? Will a new drama teacher come in? Maybe a new drama teacher who will cause drama. I'm really curious to see what's gonna happen next, because already, you know, there's plans for this new spring musical. Will Miss Jen even be able to make that happen? Will they have to fight to bring her back? Or maybe it'll turn out to be not that big of a deal. I guess we'll find out as we get into season 2. And in case you guys didn't know, season 2 has been picked up, so don't worry about that. We are getting that. And honestly, I just had so much fun with this show. High School Musical, the series was just such a joy to watch. You know, I grew up with High School Musical. I absolutely loved it, and to kind of get back those memories of, you know, not even just watching the show but also being a theater kid myself and doing High School Musical as a production in my community and stuff, it was just really fun to watch this show. You know, just to see the references and the parallels to the original High School Musical in the show were great. The original music was phenomenal. I really loved it. I think that this is a very, very talented cast, and I just really can't wait for season 2 of this series because I think that they just have something really magical here. Also want to mention really quick, if you do love the High School Musical movies, that I actually ranked them with Sean Chandler Talks About and Zach Pope on Sean Chandler's channel. So if you want to see how I ranked the High School Musical movies, I will leave a link right here for you guys. If you like this one, you can check out more of my High School Musical, the series reviews right over here, and I will catch you guys in my next video. See ya!